Save your breath, Agent Hannah. This is cut and dry, and you know it.
What about Joanna's family?
That's for the CIA to decide. As for NCIS, we will not be directing any more resources to this case, if you can even call it a case. End of discussion, Agent Hannah. Was that not clear?
If that rogue CIA group is still active, they're a threat to us. You've read the report.
I have, and I think I learned a valuable lesson.
Okay, we're streaming. Let me get it record. Okay, we are recording. So I will start over here again. My apologies to the members of the community. We inadvertently forgot to stream out to YouTube.
Use a VPN and proxy servers.
I'd ask the clerk to do the roll call again, please.
Councilwoman Anawan?
Here.
Councilman Hagen Depew?
Here.
Councilman Hewitt?
Yes.
Councilman Paddock?
Here.
Supervisor Baden?
Here. Okay, for the public, Jason Fish, who is the town's new IT consultant from Fish Solutions. Welcome, Jason. If you could just start over at the beginning and give a very quick overview, it would be appreciated.
Sure, no problem at all. So we performed an IT assessment for the town. It's typically our initial steps of being brought into a new client. The purpose of the IT assessment is to look at the current infrastructure for that municipality. What we were looking at was the recommendations from the IT Comptroller's Office, who's the oversight on the state level for the municipality. And we were looking at the different components of that infrastructure. We were kicking off with the survey of the network, which is the overview of both the modem, where the internet comes in, as well as the router for facilities. As far as the assessment, we're looking at the town hall, town highway facility as the main facility, and then looking at the community center, additional town hall offices as the secondary facility. Looking at the main facility, we found that there was internet as well as a router that was brought in by the ISP, the internet service provider. And then at the secondary location, internet was also brought in by the cable provider with a ISP modem internet service provider, and that being connected to a residential level router. Issues with that we found was that there's no firewall or protection for the network, as well as no VPN. So that is the link that links the two networks together, and also no failover. So that means a backup internet to both locations. Based on that, our recommendations are to implement a commercial firewall, which will allow both sites to connect with each other, and then also allow both sites to be secure. The second thing that we found was to implement a secondary internet connection at both locations, so that if there's a primary internet connection that goes out, then you have a second means of internet. We prioritize everything based on the risks to the town. Not having a commercial firewall being a high priority, and secondary internet having a low priority. We did derive basic proposals for all these recommendations, not as actual costs, but so the town can evaluate what generalized cost would be based on stuff being on state bid, or sourcing it directly from a third-party provider to make budgetary decisions on the different costs. So to address the first recommendation, a commercial firewall, we were looking at the Sonic Wall TZ device at the main site, which would be close to $2,000 expenditure for the town, as well as a smaller Sonic Wall TZ at the secondary site, which would be closer to $1,000. And then looking at recommendation number 2, there's a couple of options there. The first option being to bring a fiber connection, which is a much more reliable connection as primary internet, and using the cable that's currently there as a secondary, or keeping the cable at each location as the primary, and utilizing the Verizon or similar network to be the backups. So that's where we were brought up to.
Okay, Jason, do you mind if I have the board ask questions section by section?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if any board members have a question on this first section.
Yes, I do. Jason, the new connection for the internet is above and beyond your RFP, is that correct?
So what these are, the RFP was basically looking at our services. So as far as like us handling the implementation of all this, it doesn't include, our RFP did not include any actual services, hardware, or anything like that. So these are costs that are above and beyond the RFP. So we're providing the service to consult on this, implement this, all that. What the RFP didn't include was the cost to implement any of these services.
That was so your answer is yes, it was not included in the RFP. Am I correct? Am I understanding it correctly? So $3,190 then that these two internet functions would take care of are not, or were not included in the RFP. Now,
The RFP didn't include any equipment. It was just for the consulting and the management of our services for the next 2 years.
I thought so. So,
Yeah.
okay,
So the first step of the contract was for the company to take the first month, which they've done. We signed the contract August 1st, so now it's
Correct.
September 1st. So this is the recommendation of what equipment we would need to purchase to then move forward and correct our problems that we have with IT. So and we did budget.
I understand that. I'm just trying to get a base figure to start with here. So at
Okay.
this, before we move on, Jason, should we then to the 3190 that I've already computed, your recommendation number 2 of $825, should that be added to the 3190?
So
Or is that a
yeah.
secondary?
Yeah, so as far as looking at this, we prioritized everything. So like a high, medium, and low priority. And the reason that we did that is that we understand that a municipality can't handle doing all these recommendations all at once, most likely. So that way you could perhaps address the high priority items this fiscal year, maybe look at the medium priorities the next fiscal year. So looking at that, the high priority, so something that should be immediately addressed would be recommendation 1. So that would be the $1,800 plus the $1,300.
Which is 3190, yes.
Exactly.
Now, please
Yep.
explain the 825 to me if you would, please.
No problem. So now the next section is the second recommendation. This second recommendation is a lower priority, so a low priority.
Okay.
There's 2 options with this recommendation. So the first option is bringing in a new primary internet connection. So the benefit of this type of connection is this is a fiber connection, which means that it's guaranteed by a contract to always be live. If it does go down, there's a guarantee of a response time, typically within an hour to get it back online.
Currently, what did you find when you were looking? Was it a fiber optic line?
No, currently you're using a coaxial cable, so like
I see.
TV cable for your internet communication. So there's 2 options that you have based on available internet coming into your facilities and what's available in your area. So the first one is bringing in a fiber optic connection to your main location and then using your cable modem as a secondary, which you're currently using. The other option, which is more affordable, is to continue using what you're using and then use Verizon's 4G service or another provider, AT&T, to have that as more or less a backup in case your internet goes down.
And this is for a monthly fee.
Correct. Yes, both would incur a monthly fee because their internet service provides.
The Cradle Point, though, the first price is a one-time fee, and then the 25 a month is the monthly, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So because you have to pay for the hardware for the second option, and then you pay a monthly fee to the service provider. Whereas the first option, you're just paying. They're going to bring in the line and everything like that, and you're just paying the monthly fee at that point.
All right, so the 1,100 is a setup fee, if you will.
More or less, yeah.
And the 25 is all they're going to charge the town a month for
Exactly.
all the lines that go into it?
Correct. So because the first one is primary, so the first one is a continuous connection, whereas the second one is that they're running as a backup. So it's only going to be running if your internet goes down. So that's why it's a much lower cost, because they don't anticipate it going down that often.
You have to forgive me, Jason, I'm not a techie. So
No, I understand.
So if we use the Verizon, if we use the same vendor for both, is it not possible that both would be down?
Oh, there's always a
At the same time?
possibility. What this is doing is trying to limit that. So it's looking at 2 service providers to bring in your connection. So it's a lot, much less likelihood. But of course, if there's a major disaster in the area, then that's always a possibility.
But what I'm saying is if we use Verizon for the primary and we also use Verizon for the secondary, is there more possibility that it will go down?
Yes, there is more possibility because Verizon is actually who would bring in the Verizon fiber. They basically have a Verizon fiber connection, which you would be getting, which goes to the cell towers. So yeah, there is.
Does
a
it
higher
go in
likelihood.
this area? Do they have fiber optics in this area?
Verizon does have fiber optics in this area because it does feed the cell phone tower. So that's where
Yeah, I think you might be misunderstanding the primary and secondary. That's location. The primary is town hall. The secondary is the community center.
No, I get it. I get it.
Okay,
There's
okay.
actually 2 hookups. I didn't know if they fed off each other or they were independent, or that was what I was trying to arrive at.
No, these would be independent of each other. We would continue with the internet connection that we currently have, and these would become a backup in the event that the internet connection we currently have goes down.
Yeah,
So
and that
I-
comes from a different service provider. So yeah, so if you went with the first option, your primary is coming from Verizon and your secondary is coming from your current cable provider, which is somebody separate. And then if you go with the second option, then the primary provider would be a separate person from the secondary, which is Verizon. So in either situation, it's 2 different service providers, so it's not the same.
Mike, you just said that the person that we're using now, or did Jason say that? I apologize.
I think we both said it.
Okay,
So you're currently
Right.
using Spectrum, I believe.
okay. Thank you. Okay,
Okay.
But
I think
Any other
I think
questions on
we're
this first
paying Cornerstone, but it's through Spectrum. It's
Whatever.
Correct,
serviced by
yeah, it's
Spectrum.
resold.
Yeah,
Yep.
correct.
and who does the updates and stuff for this?
So as far as our
If you
contract,
want me
we'd
to
be,
wait, I'll wait till we go further.
okay. Yeah, so as far as any type of labor, that's what's all included in your RFP. So that's what we're providing is the service to maintain this, to install this, to consult this. The pricing that we're including here is just for the physical equipment, and that's why we put that in here so you could see what those cost estimates would
So
be.
you're 21, whatever it was a month, you then monitor this.
Correct. Yep.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions in the first section? Okay.
Nope.
So we could jump into the second. So the second is also kind of part of the first. So this is the other part of it. So this would be the power backup for everything, the switch, the location of everything. So this is also the network, the connectivity of everything. So on this assessment, we looked at the main location, which is configured by just above the supervisor's desk. There's currently an 8-port switch located there. And then off of that, there's a couple of wires that run into different areas, one into the assessor's work area, another one that runs to the front area where there's also 2 switches. So basically, there's 4 switches that run throughout the main town hall. Whereas in the secondary building, there's currently behind one of the members of the rec office, there's a switch and everything that sits on a table behind that person. So the issues that we've seen with that is ideally all the wiring should be what they call home runs. In other words, it all runs to one central location for more efficiency, maintenance, and control of all that. And then ideally all the critical network and server components. So everything should be consolidated in one area. So that could be, for instance, locked in a closet. It could be due to limited space in a room, but maybe in some type of cabinet so that it's locked and secure and all that. And then all the equipment should be connected to UPS. That's like a battery backup for everything. So looking at all this stuff, this is all medium priority stuff. It's looking at to establish a central secure area for all your equipment. So it's not spread out through both locations. Installing a central switch for everything, bring all the wiring into that one location, and then installing a battery backup for all that equipment. So based on that, we came up with recommendations so that we could meet all those, which would basically, probably the easiest thing is installing a small cabinet to put everything in, and then running all the wiring into the central box or cabinet, we'll call it, with a switch inside that cabinet that'll allow everything to be centralized. So all this is not an urgent need, but a recommendation, so that there's more control, it's easier to maintain, and also to have everything kind of centralized.
We got a better plan this time.
So does anybody have any questions in regards to that recommendation?
The CIA's just gonna toss you aside. They don't understand that you were born for this.
Okay.
I do.
So the next section is definitely the highest priority. It's what we'll call the physical server, virtual server. So for the most part, everything is kind of ran independently now on individual users' computers. There is a Windows XP computer that does act as a server in the main area of the main building, which does host some file sharing, but it's mainly being used to host 2 programs on that computer. And then additionally, there's some server resources that are off-site. So for instance, your mail and your website are hosted by a third party in an environment that's not owned or controlled by the municipality. And then the mail is also not hosted on an enterprise level system, such as like Office 365 or what they would call an Exchange server. So this is all hosted on a basic web mail platform. So these are all definitely our biggest concerns. The issues we see with that is that there's no formal server to manage user access, remote access to the system. There's no file storage. There's no formal server to host all your applications. For instance, the town management software is ran on the supervisor secretary's computer. The gas management program is ran on a computer in the DPW office. There's the 2 applications that are managed on the Windows XP computer. So ideally, all this would be consolidated on this server, and then that server would be secured as well as backed up, so that everything's centralized, backed up, and secure. As for your mail and web hosting services, ideally that should be on an enterprise class system, something that's like an Office 365, and that the town has ownership of that and access to all that and controls all that. There's no archiving for mail, which means that if somebody deletes an email, for instance, the town doesn't have the ability to bring that email back. It's because it's not, there's no backup to that. And then there's no formal security services that are implemented on the platform. So we would definitely say that the highest priority for the town to address is probably the most costly, but is to install a centralized server. And then another high priority would be to migrate the web hosting services to a tier 1 known provider, as well as enterprise level services since like Office 365. And then another high priority would be to implement backup and security services for that. So as far as recommendations, general costs you'd be looking at, we always go to the high end, so that way you know your maximum cost. The best capacity server for the size of the town, that's what we estimated. It could be a more affordable server, but the problem with that is it goes more in line to present needs. So I would say a cost range for a server for the town would be anywhere from $4,000 to $6,300, depending on what's available budget-wise and what sizing of the server would be required. The second item is bringing everything into a secure server as far as your website and as far as your email, which would be the Office 365. And then the last component is the backup and security services, so to back up all this as well as to secure all this. So this is definitely the highest priority, and I think what should be looked at, for sure by the town. Some of the concerns are that you're running everything kind of on a Windows XP computer, which even Windows 7 now is end of life. So that means that that computer hasn't been supported by Microsoft in, I would say, about 4 years at this point. It's probably at least 15 or so years old. And then on top of that, everything being held on individual computers, it's hard to control all the different components in the network. So this is certainly, I think, the most important area of the network to look at first.
Okay. Mike, can I ask a question? You're muted. I don't know if you
Sorry.
said yes or
Go
no.
ahead, sorry.
Okay, so one of the concerns that we've had from the public all this time is that none of this would be in town hall because it's now not currently at town hall, and that's been a problem for everyone or several people in the community, not everyone. So this is still going to be out there somewhere. So how have we come ahead with this, Mike? How have we come ahead? If it's not going to be in town hall still, how do we then answer those questions that are tossed at us, plus the additional cost?
Jason, do you want to take that one? You can explain it much better than I can.
Sure, absolutely.
And before, Jason, you get into this, some of the stuff in the supervisor's office that may be on that XP computer, in town municipalities, not everybody can have access to everything. The New York State Comptroller's Office does not want, it wants supervisor's office, or not the supervisor's office, but the bookkeeper's computer to have access to certain things and other departments not to have access. Are you aware of that?
Yep.
Okay,
So that's 100% correct.
okay,
So with that said, to answer all those different questions. So the first thing I'll go at is that recommendation 1, that's server. So that's a physical
Mhm.
device that would be in your office. Everything would remain on town property. The benefit of having a server is that it does allow segregation. So you'll be able to segregate by department who has access to these applications and files. So the gas program could be one section of the server. The assessor's programs could be one section and files. So the server, and the importance of the server is that it controls who could access different computers, different components of your network. So that's why it's very important, and it is required of the comptroller's office oversight. So that's why we're recommending it. And for the public's concern, it is all in-house as well. So I think it addressed kind of all your concerns there. The other item is,
Jason, the server that is in, that you spoke of, that's currently already in existence in the XP, that's the one in the town clerk's office?
correct, yes.
Okay, so B, that server that he's talking about only is dealing with the town clerk's information. Nothing from any other offices is going there to that computer, to that server.
Mike, I'm sorry, I can't hear. There's some crazy background noise in there. I've been fighting it since the beginning of the meeting. Can we put wherever that's coming from on mute?
Yeah, I've been trying to find, somebody's got background here, so.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I can't concentrate with whatever that is going on.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay, so Jason, you want to go ahead and answer the rest of your questions?
Yep. So
I mean, answer the rest of the questions?
yeah, sure, absolutely. So, and then kind of to clarify what you're explaining, Mike. So yeah, currently the town clerk's office is using the XP computer, but the future plan would to bring everything onto that server, but have it in individual silos, so nobody has access to something that they shouldn't. So the gas program would be in one silo that only certain people have access to, and the same thing for the other applications, the assessor's office, the clerk, the town supervisor, secretary. So all those programs would be on the server and hosted on the server. So the change would be that it is on the server, but it'd be set up in a fashion so only the correct people have access to those individual programs. The other part of your conversation, and I think which would be the public's concern, and it is a concern that many people bring to us, is bringing stuff into the cloud. So the stuff that would be hosted in the cloud is your Office 365 and your website. And to speak to that, it is recommended from the comptroller's office, as well as general IT practice now, to have those components offsite. And the reasoning is that those are web accessible programs. So in other words, Office 365 is an email program and it has to be accessed through the web. Your website is a website, so it has to be accessed through the web. So because of how intense hacking is now, phishing, and the sort, it's critical to keep it offsite and not on premise of the town, because the amount of security and infrastructure that's needed to maintain those systems. So typically, almost every organization at this point utilizes tier one services like Office 365 because it's level of security, even all the way to the federal government. And it is always hosted offsite in a secure cloud. So that's the only components that will not be in the building, but it'll be in a secure environment that's used by organizations all the way up to the federal government and large enterprises all around the country. And it will be set up in a fashion so the ownership of it would be through the town. So only the town would have access to it and who the town designates.
Okay, Jason, if you want to move on.
Okay. So the last section we assess is what we call the end user. So this is basically the equipment that the end user is utilizing in their course of work. So assessing this, pretty much all the end user devices that we found are all end of life. So a lot of them are Core 2 Duo or AMD 2 processors, which are all stuff that's been end of life for quite some time. So pretty much any user device, so any computer is end of life, needs to be replaced. Additionally, a lot of them are running Windows 7, which is also end of life and no longer supported. There were a few that are running Windows 10, but they're Home Edition and need to be Pro Edition. So other than the supervisor's computer and the supervisor's secretary's computer, which was recently replaced, all the other end user equipment is in a state that needs to be upgraded and replaced. The other thing that we looked at were the phones. So the phone system is also not centralized. It uses a traditional analog system that's just local to the town hall building, whereas the other phones that are in the other building are more or less residential handsets that have their individual numbers, and there's no failover for that system. So there's systems out today that they call UCAS systems. So those are systems that are internet based. They could allow you to have the phone system anywhere, so it's not tied to the town building. It could be at both buildings, and then also gives you the availability during a disaster and where this is most important to utilize the system wherever. So a COVID situation hits or some type of emergency hits, the phones could be just unplugged and put into any facility, including somebody's home if need be. So a big advantage for the town to be able to have that flexibility. So looking at user systems, we saw that the hardware, which is the people's that utilize the computers in the town, are all outdated. Most of them can't be upgraded. The operating systems were end of life, and then the phone system also is not a centralized UCAS system. So our recommendations that we were looking at there is to create what we called a end user computer cycle rotation schedule, which we would rate at a medium priority, probably just after the server, and then looking to as a low priority in the future to migrate to a UCAS phone system. So general cost for this, I mean, a standard desktop today that runs with the standard components running Windows 10 Pro are usually around $1,000. Looking at maybe replacing 4 of these a year would bring you in the ballpark of about $4,000 a year. So then that would put you in a rotation schedule that maybe every 4 years computers are getting replaced so that they stay up to date or whatever works for the town. If the town has the availability of replacing all the computers now, that's wonderful. If they have the availability of replacing 2 this year, that's a great start. But some type of rotating schedule would be the best for the budget, as well as getting everybody into a position that they'll be upgrading the computers. The second part is, which is a low priority, probably the lowest priority of everything that we looked at. So something to maybe look towards the future, or at least have an idea for the budget, is migrating the phone system to a UCAS system. Pretty much with these systems, everything is free and included. They all bundle it into your monthly fee, which the going rate on a UCAS system today is about $25, what they call a user per phone. And what this allows you to do, like I said, is everybody gets their own desk phone that just plugs into the internet. The benefits are that you could unplug that desk phone and plug it into any internet connection around the world, and the phone will work just as it is in the office. And then gives the benefit of if somebody calls into the town, they could contact anybody in the town directly through the phone system. Also, it has the availability of doing video conferencing right into the phones. Also has the availability of having a mobile app on your iPhone or your Android mobile phone So it gives a lot of availability, modern features to the phone system that a lot of municipalities or businesses would need and utilize. So as far as end user devices, that's what we found as far as end user devices. So does anybody have any questions in regards to end user devices?
Yeah, one question on the all-in-one computer. It's a fairly new concept to me. So if a screen fails or something, is it easy to replace just the screen only and you don't have to replace the whole computer?
Yeah, so with these devices, just the screen can be replaced or the computer. They are repairable. There are some that, you know, for a little bit more money, you could get them as an all-in-one, but accessible. So right now, like they would have to be taken apart and repaired. But there are some like that they actually have a module that like plugs into the back of the screen. So it looks exactly the same as the all-in-one. But if the computer dies, for instance, you could open up like a door in the back and take the computer unit out and put a new computer in, like a new module. So it makes it a lot more efficient to replace it. But either way, yeah, either side of it is repairable.
And I can tell the board, this is what we purchased to replace the bookkeeper's computer, which she turned on a couple weeks ago to a message of hard drive failure imminent. So we quickly got a new computer in there, and it is up and functioning with no downtime at all, except for the maybe hour that it took to install it. Working very well. She loves the screen, loves the new loves everything about it. It's a much bigger screen than we had previously. Makes it a lot easier to see all those little numbers.
And what was the cost of that, Mike?
$1,079, I believe. So right around the 1,100 that he's quoting. That replaced a computer that we don't even know for sure was at least 8 years old. So.
Is it enough to make her stay?
No, not enough to make her stay. We told her we spoiled her though by getting her a new computer right before she left.
There you go. Jason, if you don't mind.
One other aspect that you and I had chatted about that I didn't see in your proposal, the Microsoft Office capability for all computers, would that be included in the whole server setup?
Yep. So going back up here, the nice thing about the Office 365 licensing, so that license, it includes everything. So that includes Office 365. So it includes your Office license for the user, the hosted mail. So that's kind of the other benefit of using the Office 365 license, is that everything is all included in that license. So every user gets the latest version of Microsoft Office that they could use on the internet or directly on their computer. Plus it has the email hosting aspect and everything to it. So it's kind of nice.
And I also asked you about this, but so you can answer for the board. So as far as transfer over of archived email system, all the email are same URL would be able to transfer over, all the email addresses would transfer over, and all the email would also transfer over?
Yep, so I did speak to the current provider. We would transfer the users and domain names so nobody loses their actual email address that they previously had, and then we would work together to move your email. So yeah, there would be no loss of anything, and you get a more modern email setup.
Okay.
Question on Cornerstone. When we saw, Adam, was that your question? You're smiling.
That's okay. I'll wait. It's not a problem.
Do it. Ask your question. Come on.
So, Jason, I just wanted to know, I mean, taking a look at the proposal and my first blush was that right now the town really has a very high liability, kind of slash risk to hacking and other exposure. When I take a look at the costs that you're proposing for the most urgent things, they seem to be directly with that is security and hardware. Do I have that right?
Yeah, I would definitely say, so that when I came in to speak to the supervisor, so two most critical points is security, because you want to secure your network, and also backup, because the only thing that you can't recover is your data if you lose that. So anything could be replaced, replace any hardware server, All those components are replaceable, but what's not replaceable is your data. So having a good secure backup and having things secure are of the utmost concern. So our highest recommendations are 1, security, 2, backup, and then 3, the infrastructure to centralize everything, which is also, I would say, more in the security realm. So yeah, I would definitely say, if the comptroller's office came in to do an audit, pretty much there's nothing in line to meet any of the state comptroller's recommendations. Everything is far off par as far as no backup, no security, individual access, no centralization. I would definitely say that we could at least get in a general ballpark of being in a place that we need to addressing those concerns.
Thank you.
Okay, my question was about this phone system we currently have. Is there a vendor / provider that can give us the things that you're looking at, where we could take the phone as a unit and move it to our home or wherever? Or is there extra cost for that, Jason, that you're aware of?
Yeah, so as far as our job, we're your consultant. So
Right.
I guess what would happen is that these are our recommendations. You guys as a body would make a decision of what needs to be addressed first, and then we'll take those on as projects. So say you guys determine that, the network and the server are your 2 top priorities. You want to address those right away. So the next step is I would work with this board on exact recommendations for replacement of those components, whether it's going to be state bid or a 3 bid competitive process, depending on what your guys' rules are in your municipality. So that's what we would work towards. So as far as when we get to the point of looking at the phones, we would do the same thing. We would work, either doing what's on state bid or working towards a competitive 3 bid process or whatever your requirements are for your municipality. But there's definitely vendors that are able to do this service that we've worked into many municipality organizations. There's a lot that is on state bid already. So yeah, there's definitely vendors out there that would be able to do this.
Okay, does the board have any other questions? So what I'd like to do is us to just give Jason a feel for next steps. I'm looking in our budget real quick to see what we have for budgeted, what we budgeted this year for equipment. We have budgeted total of we have 5,000 for equipment, and we budgeted 4,000 for software, of which we've spent 1,200. So we have 2,800 left there, and we have approximately $7,800 budgeted. I'm sure I can dig through other budget lines and find some more money. What I think I'd like to do is ask Jason to of the high priority ones that he suggested, and this will be with the board's
What are you doing here?
approval.
Yes, work. I apparently forgot to lock it.
We would have we would probably have, if we do the highest priorities, which would be what he just said, security, networking, and backup. I believe that, I think, I'm speaking for the board, but I think you would all agree that that is where we should head right now. If we ask him to move forward with getting us quotes, and Jason, you and I can speak offline regarding our procurement policy as to what we have to do. If we are going off state bid, and Mary Lou, you can correct me on this, I think we can just go with state bid, right? But we can always put it out for an RFP if we think we can get cheaper. You're muted. She's not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you can get all these on state bid, which I'm assuming you probably can, the state has already done the procurement process for us.
Right.
If you think you can find it cheaper, obviously, by all means, we would put out an RFP.
Right.
And we could possibly, I don't know if there's any county things out there that we could piggyback onto.
Yeah, there is always that as well.
So we have access to all those, the contracts that are out there, whether we'll piggyback off of existing contract or what's currently on state, but that's typically what everybody does, just because, like you said, they already went to all the tier 1 providers. They already have
Right.
something pre-negotiated on contract. Then lastly, looking at the possibility of putting an RFP. I mean, our interest with the town is always to get you whatever the most cost-effective solution. Understand that budgets are tight, but we are going to always look to be whatever is going to be the most efficient for the town as far as cost and being able to source that.
So,
Okay.
so with that being said, I guess I'd ask for a motion that we authorize Jason to secure pricing for us for the high priority items as recommended for presentation to the board before any final ordering is done.
I have a question, Mike. Wouldn't it be smarter to get the computers hooked up so that everyone is in place with computers first? I thought that was the initial first priority here.
No, I believe the security and the networking is more a priority than the computers. I mean, the computers are important. Without the networking, the computers are we just have better computers doing the same thing we're doing now.
Yeah, so it's Mike definitely has it correct, because what we're going to do is we're actually going to pull all the data off the computers and the programs off the computers and put it on the server. So it's very critical to get a reliable server and then to secure the network in that server so it's backed up and secure. So certainly getting a server and the critical network components, I would definitely say be the highest priority, because after that part of the project's done, the computers are just what users are going to be using to get onto the network and onto the server, but everything
Maybe
is
I
being brought off
need-
the computers.
Maybe I need an explanation on server. Are we talking email server? What are we talking here? Because currently our email costs us nothing per month. And the
So-
update to the web pages and the town page costs us nothing per month.
So when
Am
we're
I
talking,
correct? Mike,
That's
am I correct?
correct.
Okay. So when I set a priority, why am I going to remove something that costs me nothing unless someone can explain to me? Isn't there something that makes our computers secure at this time?
No,
Isn't that a different server?
no. But
So-
Jason could probably explain it better than
All
I
right,
can.
a
Yeah,
server is a server. A server functions for everything?
So
Yes.
yeah, so to explain everything, kind of what you're referring to. So what you're referring to, as you see up on your screen, is recommendation 2 and 3 server, or excuse me, recommendation 2 server. So that's your email and your web hosting, which you're getting for free. So we're actually looking at recommendation number 1, which is actually the server that's going to host all your programs and files. Currently, you have an XP computer in your office or the individual user's computers. Which is one, dangerous because if the computer fails, then you lose that. And 2, the equipment is so old at this point, it's not it's end of life,
That-
and not secure.
Jason, that's why I was asking about computers, and then Mike said, no, that wasn't our first priority, but what you're saying is it is our first priority to get something secure in the office for the information within the offices, correct?
Correct. Yep. And then we're going to take it off, all the information off each person's individual computer. Yep. So we're going to have one
So-
computer
so
basically in the office
be-
that everything is on it.
You're misunderstanding. The server becomes the replacement. Everybody will still have their current computer for the beginning time. But the server, instead of each of us storing our own data and our own programs on our own individual computers, which are only backed up if we back them up, everything will be moved to the server. Anytime any one of us does anything to a program or to a file,
Yeah,
it's automatically stored on the server.
I
So-
get that. I
Right.
had the same thing elsewhere. I get that. But suddenly we've also gone from a couple $100 for a computer to $1,100. I'm trying to understand this whole increase in money. Now, maybe I don't get it, but
I can answer that. The computers that were proposed in those numbers from other people originally were home-based computers, B. We're running a business. And we
okay,
need to treat it like, yeah,
that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
That's fine.
So,
I
I
get it.
mean, we can get cheaper computers, but I'm not even proposing the computers right now. The computers, as long as, I mean, Shirley's, we had no choice. And if anybody else's goes down like that, we will replace it immediately. Otherwise, they are old, they are tired, and they need to be replaced
Yeah,
within the next couple
we
of
had
years.
discussed that, but
Yeah.
I was asking the difference in from last year this time, just for argument's sake, to this year this time. That's why I was asking the question.
Right.
Now
Well-
you're telling me putting it into a business computer instead of a home computer.
But also be, if you remember the numbers of the server, the price of the servers that was coming in on those other numbers was right around this ballpark. The server is a one-shot purchase. It's like
Yeah.
we're purchasing a supercomputer that everybody's data is uploaded into constantly. It's constantly backed up. It's constantly available. I mean, I can tell you my own personal, my personal computer, not my work one, last year went down, and I had not backed up in probably 4 months,
Shame
and
on
I
you,
lost
I
a bunch of
didn't do
data, and it was my own fault. And
Okay, so-
really, we're running the risk right now. And what Jason said about the comptroller's office is true. If the comptroller's office came in right now, we are not running according to the way New York State would want us to be running.
Mary Lou, do you think I know that?
You might.
Do you think I know that of all people?
Oh, I
Okay.
understand, B, but that's why I'm saying the server and the networking and the getting it, so then all our desktop computers just become the device to access the server.
So you're looking at $6,300.
Correct, but we always were.
I'm not saying we weren't.
Okay,
I'm saying I was looking at the other part of this. That's what I'm trying to discern. And when we do this, then we are going to an outside source such as Verizon, which adds 6,000 plus whatever that was. Is that
no,
correct?
that's the internet connection.
That's what I'm trying to
Right.
differentiate. Thank you.
Which is what I'm trying to, why I said, let's ask Jason to get us the total price, item by item, of everything that he's viewing as a high priority. We're not authorizing him to buy anything tonight. We're authorizing him to get us a more defined price. These are estimates. We're asking him
Yes.
to go out, check the state bids, decide if the state bids are best or if we can bid it out ourselves. Get us those prices, and then we can decide what we want to do this year, what we want to put in next year's budget.
And how
So-
we would do it, and how we would do it too is we would do that. This is probably the most cost-effective way of doing it. This is the standard way of doing it, and this is, you know, the future-proof, all on state bid. So you guys can make an assessment now that we have a focus on what we're focusing on, the highest priorities, and you as a board can make a decision based on, you know, we feel that, you know, we're only going to be able to afford the absolute necessary costs. It'll get us to cover all the highest priorities, and we know that it meets our minimal requirements. Or if you feel that, you know, we want to spend a little extra money, make sure that we're future-proof for a long period of time, not a short period of time. So it gives you all those different options. So these were just estimates of what the general market is. So you have a ballpark of how much things will cost. If the supervisor on your board authorizes us, what we're going to do as our next step is to look at the server, look at the security components, and give you actual state bid, or if it's better to put out the bid, you know, the most cost-effective way of doing something, the standard way of doing something, and then, you know, the highest cost that would give you what we call future-proofing, that, you know, that'll last the longest.
So I just think it might be helpful for us to state, I know we said the ones that are high priority, but I think it'd be good to state just in the meeting what that is. So that was the implement a commercial firewall at both locations with a VPN connected to both locations.
Correct.
So that was that first thing that came to $3,100 in your
Right.
quote. And then the second
Let's say
different,
3,200, we'll round up.
oh yeah, 3,200. And then the second different one that is that Jason, that you have identified as being high priority that we're talking about is what's up on the screen now. So
Correct.
that's the server and the install a centralized server, migrate web hosting services to tier 1 provider and mail to enterprise level service, implement backup and security services. So those are the 4 high priority things that we're asking you to get specific quotes for.
Correct. In our opinion, that would be your highest priority.
Jason, the $10 per user per month, is that per email address?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Question on that is, most of our employees have email addresses. There are many of them, like the highway guys, who very rarely, if ever, use them.
Yeah, so there's definitely different tiers that will be included. So there's like a really basic tier that it's just for people just to check their email. It's a lot more cost efficient. It's like $1 or $2 a month.
Yeah,
And
because
then $10 is like a full user that has like the whole Office suite and everything.
yeah, because I mean, users like my office, the clerk's office, the building department. I mean, I probably get in the neighborhood of 70 emails a day.
Right.
And probably send out another 20 or 30 easily,
Right.
if not more. So, and there's others that would use it once a month or twice a month. So,
Right.
I just wanted to make sure that that number is a little flexible.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like I said, we try to go the highs with all this so that you guys would understand what a high price on all this
Sure.
would be. But yeah, so when we look at these 4 components, if we're authorized to do, we'd be looking at all those aspects now. We can focus on those components.
Okay. We also have some archived email addresses from people who have left, or some generic, like there is one for me that I have mine in my name. There's also another one, supervisor at Town of Rochester, which gets forwarded to my email. Things
That's
like
free and included.
That would be able to be included?
And that's free. Yeah, those forwarded emails that don't go to an inbox are free. And as far as storage of old emails, what we would do is store that on your actual server so you can reference it if need be, so that there's no cost involved with any of that.
Okay. And that would still be accessible from other devices. Like I have my town email accessible on my Android phone as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Did that answer your question, Aaron?
Yes.
So based on that, we're looking at 9,500 plus the 150. We're looking at about 10,000
with the 10
in equipment, plus the so much per month. So, and as I said, we have budgeted about, what did I say, about 8,000 right now. So I think we probably easily can find the additional 2 if that becomes the case.
Or
So,
maybe the server will cost a little bit less.
Exactly.
And like I said, we'll give options.
But-
This is like the most cost-effective server to buy, and by doing that, this is what the result will be. So you'll get different price scales and what so you guys can make educated decisions on it. Based on what happens by choosing each of the different price levels.
Yeah, my point is, it's not money that we're going to have to really go searching for. We were proactive and budgeted with the intention of doing something like this year. It took us a little longer than we planned on, but we got there. So we have a reasonable amount of the money budgeted so far.
And things are definitely flexible. Just to give you a general idea, so the cheapest server that you could buy right now is $2,000, but there's limits with that. You can only have up to 20 users on it. It could only hold a certain amount of data. It's slower. So that's kind of what we'll do, is show that this is the bare bones of what you could buy, and then this is what you get for that. This is what we recommend, the cost of that, and then this is what will last the town a long period of time. So you will see the scales of the different costs, and
yeah, I don't think 20 users would be feasible for us. So I think we have more than that, because we would be including both buildings on this one server, correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, with all
Yeah.
due respect to Jason, I just wanted to remind you we're still on agenda item 1, and then we're over an hour into the meeting.
Understood, Chris.
Thanks, Mike.
Very important thing though. So we've been talking about this for 2 years. Okay, so I actually already proposed the motion but nobody seconded it. So the motion was that we authorize Jason to investigate pricing of the high priority items as presented this evening and get back to us with a recommendation or with estimates of cost.
Did
And I'll
you second, Adam?
Yes, I did.
Okay, any further discussion? I think we've discussed it a lot. Kate, roll call vote.
We lose her?
You're on mute.
Councilwoman
There we go,
Anawen,
Kate.
Aye.
Councilman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay. Thank you very much, Jason. So if you would move ahead then with getting me quotes, if you want to try to find state bids first, obviously, but if you think we can find it cheaper, let me know. So,
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for
Okay.
having me in today and meeting everybody, and I look forward to working with you guys for the next couple of years.
thank you very much. Welcome.
Okay, talk to you guys
Thank
soon.
you.
Okay. Moving on. Next agenda item. We have, Kate, were there any comments received by
Yes.
email?
Yeah,
Okay.
I received today from resident Ruth Bendelius in regards to the meeting this evening, Tuesday, September 1st, 2020, because the regular meeting date was changed and only posted on the town website, which is not secure. Some community members may still not know about this change and will miss some important information. I believe the community has a right to have more information distributed concerning the very details of what the critical environmental area is exactly. Where there are proposed and how they will affect the individual property owners financially, socially, physically, and should also be freely explored. The community should also have easy access to the written recommendations to the town board by the Comprehensive Plan and Land Use Code Review Committee, and also the information that it's based on. At the last town meeting, there was a reference to a CEA. A map was displayed with property owners' names. However, the property owners were never notified of the proposed action by the town. I would hope that the public hearing can be delayed until the public can actually gather for a real public hearing. Respectfully submitted, Ruth Bendelius.
Okay, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. There is a caller on the line, 4527. Do you wish to speak? I'm trying to unmute and it's not unmuting, so. Okay. With regard to that last person's comments, I will say that I apologize to any residents for putting their names on the map. That was an error on my part. We were originally, the person helping was going to use SBLs, and I made the choice to put names on it because I thought the board would reference it better than SBLs. It was for an initial discussion by the board to decide if we were even going to take the next step. We, after reviewing it, decided we needed further information. It is on tonight's agenda to set it for public hearing, but the mapping was not completed. The person helping me needed more time, so I'm going to be withdrawing those two motions tonight, and we won't be taking it up again for probably another month. So, but we intend to send a letter explaining this to every person who would be included in that area. alerting them of the public hearing and also explaining what it all means.
Mike,
It had to go through the board to decide if we were even going to take it to the next step, which would be notifying the public. So rather than notifying the public and then talking to the board.
Mike, can
So-
I comment on something?
Yes,
Backing Mrs. Bendelius, I took several phone calls about what you had just mentioned, and I have been approached by a number of people that want public hearings to be held when the release has been made that we can have them in public, one of them being this heritage study.
understood. And if we want to put it off, we can't withhold every public hearing. We probably can't function, and we cannot have a meeting for greater than 50 people. And we have to assume that more than 50 may show up. If less than 50 show up, we still also have to social distance under the law. It's a tough call. Mary Lou, can you chime in
Yeah.
on this?
50 is the maximum that you could have if your room allows for proper social distancing for 50 people. So, I don't know what the map of the room would be. You'd have to have things spread apart, the 6 feet, the chairs and things. So I don't know if you could have 50 people.
Mike,
this
I don't
point.
think you're hearing me. I think on these particular subjects that we have just discussed the other night at the workshop meeting with the new zoning changes and things, people are not interested in hearing that we can only fit 50 people. They are asking that this town board, please do not make a final decision on this or hold a public hearing until the public can be present.
I
And
know,
whatever is needed.
I understood your point, B. We don't know when that will be.
That's correct. We do not. And therefore, I do not see how you can hold a public hearing on this computer because A, a lot of people really don't know how to use the computer. 2, people want to stand up and be accounted for in present. They want to look us in the face and say, this is what I'm saying to you. And I don't feel as a board, we have the right to close the door on any taxpayers in this town. And that's what we'd be doing if we hold this particular public hearing and some of the things on the zoning laws.
Okay, well, as I said, I'm withdrawing those 2 public hearings from
I
the agenda
appreciate
tonight.
that.
So we
I
will,
appreciate that.
there is
Thank
one
you.
other one on the agenda and we can debate that when we get to it.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, Mary Lou, attorney report, please.
Yeah, the only things I have are actually as later agenda items, like
Okay,
the Article 78. So I don't have any formal report tonight. We can just address whatever I have
okay,
as we hit those agenda items.
okay. Supervisor's report has been filed with the town clerk. The announcement of funds we received, I'm sorry, because today was the 1st, we just ran the report today. The amount the revenue line from the general fund received was $55,300.67. On the highway fund, $2,460.35. The receipts from the town clerk's office are not completed at this time. The general fund, from abstract 8/2020, we paid out general fund $58,777.67. Highway fund $33,923.90. Street lighting fund $393.58. Grant account $247. Escrow account $2,493.37. The escrow account is funded by applicants from the planning board or the zoning board. Next, the COVID report. As of yesterday, there are 129 cases in Ulster County active. There have been 94 fatalities. in the town of Rochester, we've risen slightly. We have 3 active cases. There have been 36 recovered and 3 fatalities. The Census 2020, would like to again remind everybody, if you have not completed it, you have until September 30th. Please, please. It's very important for road funding, school funding, all kinds of other funding. It's not just about counting people. It also establishes county legislative districts, congressional districts, assembly districts, state senate districts. As of yesterday, we had 51.3% response rate. Last year, we were at 53.9. So we are not very far below. Part of the reason our numbers are low is these are mailed to every address that they have on file as a residence. I can tell you, we got one here at Town Hall. So there are a number that probably, Shandaken sits at about 30%. When you get more second homeowners, they answer them at where they live regularly. So, so bear that in mind. The state average, the state average right now is about 61%. But we are in the bottom of all the Ulster County percentages. We're not the least, but we are toward the bottom end. So please, please, please encourage friends, neighbors, family. If you have a Facebook page, remind people on Facebook. And the individual information that's in those will not be divulged for 72 years. So, buildings conditions RFP, we closed it today. I'll let Kate in her town clerk report do the update of the results. We do need to set a special meeting when we would like to review them. I will tell you there's 18 results, 18 different companies applied. So think about a time frame of when in the next, I'm thinking the week of the 14th perhaps of September. That way we can get all these out to you. You can spend a couple weeks reviewing and scoring them. I still have to make up the scoring sheets to get them to you. But I'd like to try to wrap it up by the 3rd week in September. And at this time, I am officially appointing as the confidential secretary bookkeeper to the supervisor, Karen Donahue, which will start effective September 20th, 2020. As you know, she is training right now with Shirley. She has just completed her 2nd week, and even after having had a small medical issue that had to take a day off from, she was back like a trooper the next day, and has learned it very, very quickly. Is doing an awful lot of the work with Shirley guiding her already, and we are just starting the 3rd week of training. We're not even halfway through training. So I am very happy with our decision. I think we got a great person, and I'm looking forward to working with her. That's all I really have. I sent you guys some correspondence updates today. I sent you reports from various boards in the thinking about time tonight. I don't think I will read all the reports of the various departments. You have them to review. I will say we received a very nice check from the state for our revaluation of $13,395, I think. My apologies, I don't remember the exact number. It was approximately just a little under 14,000. And that was because of our reval. Here I have it. $13,995.60. And we also received our sales tax for April through June collected by the state. It was $43,338.65. And for reference, that's only about $5,500 to $6,000 less than last year. So some of our fears about sales tax being extremely lower at least have not materialized yet, but I suspect the July, August, September sales tax that we will get later this year will be a little bit lower. So that being said, does the board have anybody have any questions on the stuff I sent you?
I just have a question about the confidential secretary / bookkeeper.
Yes.
You can appoint your own confidential secretary, but I believe the board can appoint a bookkeeper.
No,
You
I can
the
appoint either the secretary or a bookkeeper or one person who is both.
You can. You don't
Correct.
need board approval for the bookkeeper.
Do not,
It's
as long
not
as they are the same
considered-
person.
Well, I know. If it's a civil service position, will she then have to take a test and be provisional for
No,
that?
she will not. It is an
Okay,
appointed
thank you.
position. It is a supervisor's appointment for the secretary or bookkeeper or one person to do both.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. And I'm confident on that, 100% confident on that. So, department and liaison reports. Does anybody have anything? Adam?
No, just real brief. Obviously, we're talking about the seniors in the park going ahead swimmingly. I think we talked in the workshop meeting about there being a cost for 2 of the 3 scheduled events. Come to find out, there's actually only a cost for one of them. That quite honestly, the seniors seem happy to pay to the line dance instructor.
Right.
The town picks up the other one. They've been doing a great job. They have a new set of YouTube videos that are scheduled to break throughout the school year, kind of based and centered around cooking. But again, they've been very enthusiastic. So Mike, back to you.
Okay. And did you want to mention the St. Patrick's Day in September?
Oh, if you could bring us up to speed on that, I appreciate it.
Yeah, Ashley reached out to me and we have corned beef in the freezer from St. Patrick's Day. So now that it's 6 months later, we are doing a to-go St. Patrick's Day by order. They were going to call everybody who had signed up for the original St. Patrick's Day, which was well over 100 people. Start with offering them the first choice of taking it. If we have additional meals, we will make it available to anybody else. And it will be you will be given a time slot. Ashley and Rita and Bethany will be making those phone calls in the next week and lining up people. I think they are doing it on the, I believe the 25th of September, but I believe it was that day. It might be the 24th. My apology, I don't remember the date, but it will be that toward the end of that week. And it will be, they are going to cook a traditional St. Patrick's Day dinner, and it would be a replacement for our luncheon. Erin, anything?
I do. So I know we'll talk about the transfer station later, but I'm also the library liaison. And I wanted to let everyone know that the Little Ones Learning Center is doing a virtual run this year. They usually do the towpath run. And this year they're doing it virtually. So that's going to happen from the week starting September 21st through Sunday, September 27th. And basically it's, you sign up, you can donate, they'll have t-shirts. So I just wanted to let everyone know about that.
Okay. B, anything from the courts? You're muted.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if you sent the letter from Judge Shaheen to everyone or just to myself. He is trying to hang on, see what the Office of State Administration or Court Administration can do, because we have definitely found that the bench is of no service to the town.
Right. And I apologize to the board. Judge Shaheen just brought me this information at 6 o'clock this evening. And I emailed it to you quickly at the last minute. So he has reached out to the Office of Court Administration. And as you know, we had received a grant, which included $2,800 for the replacement of the bench. The bench that we got from the county was not taken apart well. It also was a bench that was designed to be in a corner of a room. In speaking with Chad, who was going to try to reconfigure it, he and I literally started trying to put the pieces together, and we have a picture of it, but I'm not so sure it's going to be an improvement over what we have. And so Judge Shaheen has written to them and requested that we be allowed to take that $2,800 in funding and move it to the entranceway overhang, which we had $6,400 budgeted for, which would give us a total of $9,200. That being said, he has secured a quote, which I sent you also in that same package, of
Yes.
$9,145 from a local contractor to do that work, materials and labor. Mary Lou, our public works projects, the limit is 10,000. Does this qualify as a public works project? Doing a building?
I am not sure. We'd have to look.
Okay. Would you please, because Paul is going to get a second quote for me in the feeling that it may not, but if it does qualify under 10,000, we would not be required to get a quote. We can. I wanted to, and I also have drawings, but obviously it's a much larger piece of paper. It's a freehand sketch by the contractor of approximately what it would look like. I can try to take a picture of that and get that to all of you as well. But I
Mike,
think this would be an overhang over the handicapped ramp area that is in front of the annex to do two things. One is to shield it from the weather, and two would just enhance the outside of that building.
okay, on that grant, Mike,
Mhm.
3,200 of that was the platform overhang and then, or the, handicap, and 6,400 of it was the entrance overhang. So that alone has 96, and if he can get the
Right.
rest, he'd be
I
well
thought one of
within
them
it.
was for the front of the main courthouse. I thought that was actually the entrance way overhang.
The
But
entrance overhang, I thought was, since we're not, are we going to use that as an entrance? I'm not sure.
well,
I know
eventually that would, on court nights, that would still be used as an
Yeah.
entrance. But
But there
essentially,
is,
if they allow us to commingle these different projects into one, we have enough, and then we still would have 3,200 remaining that we could ask them if we could utilize for the entrance over the existing, the original courthouse, for an
Right.
entrance over the doorway there.
correct.
Yeah.
So we have enough if we can use that other
Right.
monies.
So we're awaiting an answer back from the courts to say whether we can or not. And then Mary Lou will let us know if we need to get further pricing, or if we can move forward on this. So as soon as I get those answers, I will be back to you for a decision. Anything else, B?
No, that's it. Thank you, Mike.
Okay, Chris, anything?
Yes, I walked the Watershed Education Park with Erin and Madeline, the ECC chair, and we gathered some information, and ECC had Hortus Arboretum as their lecture this month. They talked about native fruits and nuts, and they're working on having the Farm Hub talk about their 1,600 acre farm in Hurley soon. And then by November, Andrew Faust and I will be on the agenda to talk about the watershed park, the trails, and all the mapping.
Chris, did you, I emailed you today, it's one side of a postcard that I received about a grant for heritage parks. I don't know, there was a website to go to. If you could take a peek, I don't know if this would qualify or not, but the deadline for application was sometime in September. So but if
Okay.
you don't take a peek, it might be something that Andrew could put something together quickly, and maybe we can get some funding.
Yeah, I'd like to look at that with Andrew. I'll bring it up to him this week.
I didn't photocopy the other side because it was just the general and the address and everything, but the back side was the information. So
All right, I'll check it out. Thanks, Mike.
thank you.
And that's it.
Anybody else with department updates?
I have a question on that park, because there's a stream that runs through there, and I don't know how this works with municipalities. Does the DEC have to come in and look at what we're doing on that property? I mean, it does on every property owner. I mean, I don't know how that applies to municipalities. for the park by the solar panels where we're working?
Well, I would think that right now Andrew is working on with the Rondout Watershed Alliance and groups like Riverkeeper to make sure that that's understood as a tributary of the Rondout, and it's part of the larger educational campaign. So whether we have to bring in the DEC during a secret review, I think we would know at a later date.
They would be involved in
Okay.
any seeker review, but if we weren't doing any disturbance to the
Right, if
stream,
you're not disturbing, if you're not crossing the stream,
right,
you likely won't need any permits.
correct.
So there's no bridge, I say bridge in terms of something small, going to cross the stream at all? Or anything like that, Chris?
Not at this time. The maps will show suggested areas where we own both sides of the Millbrook, but
Yes.
we're not talking about constructed bridges right now. Because it's sometimes very narrow. You can hop across.
Okay, I'm just concerned for the towns, whatever their liability may be to the DEC, to
Mhm.
report to them or
Sure.
check with them.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, that's a good
Thank you.
point.
Okay, anything else, Chris?
That's it.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. Kate, town clerk report, if you could get the RFP report?
Yeah, so we received a total of 20 RFPs. Unfortunately, 2 of them came in at 3:30 today, so they are considered a null and void. It was pretty clear in the RFP that they had to be in by 2 o'clock, no exceptions. We put together packets for each one of the board members, so anytime you want to come pick them up, they will be available. If you want to call us ahead of time, or if you need us to come meet you somewhere, just let us know. So that's that. And in the packets, it does show the time and the date each one of them were received. So that may be helpful for you as well. Just one clarification. The St. Patrick's Day luncheon is on the 26th. It's going to be Saturday.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
Yes.
Okay, my apologies. I thought it was thank you, Kate.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
And the other thing I was thinking, we haven't had a porta potty at the town park because we weren't renting it out or anything. And if we're going to start doing exercise classes there, we should get a porta potty there.
Very good suggestion, and I will you, I'll make a note, but will you remind me tomorrow?
Yeah.
And I will get Shirley to order that at least for the next, for September through November.
Yeah. I sent Mike the link for the website to start taking online payments. All that's set up, ready to go. We just have to decide where we want to put it on the website. I know Mike and I have been both pretty busy the last couple of days, so we really haven't been able to discuss it any further, but I got to check it out and it's really simple. I think people are going to really enjoy it. And there's even an e-checking system where it'll charge you $1.50 to use a check. And I think people might be more likely to do that than use a credit card. So I'm kind of excited to see how all that's going to work. And
Great.
Other than that, just
the credit card is a percentage of the fee, correct?
Yeah, anything under $122, it's a flat $3 fee. Anything over is 2.65%.
Okay, but the e-check
people
for
use them.
$1.50 is for
Yes.
any amount?
Yes.
Oh, that's nice. If somebody wanted to pay their taxes for another $1.50, they don't have to write a check.
Absolutely.
That's fabulous.
Yeah. So
Great.
that's all.
Can I interrupt a minute?
Yeah.
Who is the youth liaison? Sorry,
Adam.
it's Adam, right?
Yes.
I just want to say that Ashley, I have been like a little kid watching her YouTube videos. I know how to can. I'm not going to do it, but I know how. I just want to, I meant to do that during your report. Give a little shout out. She's been doing an amazing job.
That's Ashley and Bethany doing all that work. Really, and Rita, the 3 of them. But Ashley and Bethany are primarily the YouTube. Rita's been working with the seniors and getting them back up to speed and getting these classes going. And for all the board members, I sent you the list of the protocol that she's going to follow with those classes. So, but I'll make sure they know. I'll let them know tomorrow.
Just amazing. I watch the youth because I don't want to admit that I'm much closer to the senior citizen than the youth.
Highway superintendent report. Jeff was unable to be here tonight. The signs are up on towpath. I drove by today and witnessed them myself. They will be put up on Trails End very soon. Looks great. Great responses from the neighbors. Jeff said everybody who was out walking as they were putting them up gave them a big thumbs up. So the signs are up. Also, a big thank you to Jeff and his crew and the Marbletown Highway Department who did a shared service with us for paving our community center parking lot. I probably will be coming to you next month asking for quotes to put out for quotes for striping it, because our highway department doesn't have that capability of doing that, but they did an amazing job. If you haven't seen it, take a look at it. And they will be doing the courthouse in September at some point. So this month, sorry, it is September. So they will be doing the courthouse as well. And that funding ended up being less than what we had discussed. I think it was about 8,200 for the community center, 82, 83. And he anticipates probably similar for the courthouse. We had budgeted up to 9,000. So, and although labor was free, that was just materials because of the shared service. We help out Marbletown when they need it. They help us out when we need it. Constabulary report. Kate, do you have it handy to read?
You know what? I can get it off my email on my phone real quick.
Actually, you know what? I do have it right here. So
Oh, okay.
sorry about that. I didn't think I
Nope.
had it. The court is partially open. The constabulary answered 31 direct calls and other duties in August. 18 neighbor to neighbor and quality of life complaints, 4 traffic complaints, 3 environmental complaints, 11 building department violations were served. 2 new court cases were opened. 17 court proceedings remain open, and there are no court cases were closed. The court is meeting very, very sporadically right now, just on specific cases. Under the interesting occurrences, they continue to receive many calls regarding individuals and larger groups trespassing on resident properties. Many new, as well as ongoing complaints about garbage being dumped on properties and on local roads. Neighbor to neighbor complaints have declined somewhat, and they've been diffused successfully without incident. Traffic patrols along 4455 are ongoing, and when they have personnel availability, during the times that they were out, traffic flow was kept moving and the road remained usable without significant delays. They assisted disabled and lost motorists. Many stopped in very dangerous roadside locations. One had an infant that was dehydrated. All left quickly and safely without injury or incident. There was a hit and run property damage only accident, and many residents and many non-residents stopped to thank them for their efforts. And due to the COVID pandemic, they continue to have limited direct contact with complainants. As far as the deep hole situation, I will say as the weather got a little cooler, when we got into later August, we did not experience the number of cars that we had previously been experiencing. I think the most I ever saw there was 14 or 15. All parked within the range that would be allowed with the no parking signs that are up. Most of the people were respectfully off the road. And we did not experience anywhere near the numbers of the 200 people that we witnessed that one weekend. So I don't know if it was the publicity of it, the threat of the no parking signs or what, but it seems like it's back to a little more manageable. So next, moving on to resolutions. Action on the minutes. We're going to table the August 27th. They are not completed. Meeting was just last week. So the town board accepts the minutes of the August 6, 2020 regular meeting and also the August 6, 2020 public hearing. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, any questions or discussion? I read through them. I didn't see anything. Nice job, Kate. So I'd ask for a roll call vote.
Councilman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Next resolution, Environmental Conservation Commission appointment. The town board appoints John Messerschmidt to serve as vice chair of the Environmental Conservation Commission and requests the town clerk notify him of the requirements for the oath of office. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, for discussion, Judith Karpova, who is the current vice chair, has requested due to work commitments that she stepped down. She will remain on the committee, but didn't feel like she had the ability to continue serving as the vice chair, and John has agreed to step up. This appointment would be through the end of the year, and the January meeting will be taking up, new appointments of chairs and vice chairs. So roll call vote.
Councilwoman Allen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Next, these are two letters of interest we received. The town board appoints Michaela Sherman and Mark Diedrich to membership of the Environmental Conservation Commission for terms to end December 31, 2022, and requests the town clerk notify them of the requirements for the oath of office.
I'll make the motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Councilwoman Allen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye.
And I should have
Next.
said during the discussion, but Michaela did an amazing job of putting together plans for the intersection of 4455 and Route 209 with the town of Warsing, and they're talking about edible plants that are low growing but beautiful and welcome people into the Shawangunk corridor.
And they're in that is going to be, and they're working with the Department of Transportation on that. In that will be wayfinding signage, which will point the way toward Kerhonkson and Accord for people coming off of 4455. It's that triangle across the street from the Valero that is just kind of a desolate gravel pit. They're going to do a very nice job of putting in shrubs and bushes and have worked very well with the DOT on that project.
Yep, looks beautiful. And Mark also has been doing bird inventories at the Watershed Educational Park, at the wetlands and other parts of the park.
Yeah.
So
they both bring a lot of energy and have been volunteering for the ECC on a regular basis most of this year, if not all this year. So
yeah, thank you.
Next, the town board appoints Joan Ewing to membership of the Historic Preservation Commission for a term to end December 31, 2020. Excuse me. For a term to end December 31, 2021, and requests the town clerk notify, it says him, oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong place. For a term to end December 31, 2022, and requests the town clerk notify her of the requirement for oath of office.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Joan has been coming to the meetings on a regular basis. She had sent this request back in April, right after the COVID hit, and my apologies to her. It fell by the wayside. I thank her for reminding me of it. And roll call vote, please, Kate.
Councilwoman Allen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Next, the town board appoints William Bill Barringer to membership of the Zoning Board of Appeals to fill a vacancy for a term to end December 31, 2021, and requests the town clerk notify him of the requirement for oath of office.
I'll make
I'll
that
make that
motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Your choice, Kate. Bill has been our alternate for a number of years. He has been filling in as we only have 3 active members on the ZBA, and has shown himself to be involved in the process. I think he deserves this. This is replacing Aaron's seat, which was actually replacing Rebecca Collins. I went back and looked at the original appointments. So is there any discussion on this? Roll call vote?
Councilwoman Allen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Next, the budget modifications. I can put them up on the screen if the board would like. I discovered the error in the one when I was showing you this to you in the workshop meeting was that I had put a line item that should have been under the assessor, under the town clerk. It was strictly a mistake of where I put it, but when I saw it, it confused me. I've emailed them all to you. They equal out to 0 in that for every place we are adding, we are reducing it somewhere else. And the same for both general fund and highway. In the interest of time, I'd say I've emailed them all to you now twice. The only change from the original ones I emailed you was the correction of moving the assessor postage line that was accidentally in the town clerk's line. And if I had looked at the budget code the other night, I would have realized my mistake. I just put it in the wrong place. It's now corrected to under the assessor line. So I'd ask for a motion to, upon recommendation of the town supervisor, the town board authorizes modification of the 2020 general fund and highway fund budgets as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion? Roll call vote?
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Next, this is setting a compensation rate. Upon recommendation of the town supervisor, the town board establishes the compensation rate for the position of confidential secretary bookkeeper full-time to the supervisor at $18 per hour effective September 20, 2020. Position to be managed by the town supervisor as to exact hours and duties assigned.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? For clarification, this is $1 an hour increase from the training rate that we established. So when she assumes the rate full-time, she will move to this rate. Roll call vote, please, Kate.
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. The next, this is appointment of an HMEO. You all received a letter from Superintendent Fry. Upon recommendation and appointment by the highway superintendent, the town board approves the appointment of, and the name is, does anybody have it handy? I apologize.
Seaman.
Nick Seaman.
Nick.
Nick Seaman for the vacant position of HMEO effective September 13, 2020, be compensated at the rate of $24.96 per hour as negotiated under the collective bargaining agreement with IBEW Local 363. The position to be managed by the highway superintendent. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. For information, the highway superintendent we create the positions. The highway superintendent is allowed to appoint them. We just confirm them. This is a vacancy with Mr. Ballard's retirement as of this past Friday. And so Jeff has forwarded this gentleman. He is a resident of the town. He has worked previously for the town of Marbletown Highway Department in a temporary relief position, I believe it was, and they were unable to continue his position only because they didn't have availability of a full-time position for him. Jeff said he is very qualified, and Jeff is happy to make this appointment. So roll call vote.
Councilwoman Anowen.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, B.
I was gonna ask, Mike, before we move to the vote, can you as supervisor or Karen, whoever's doing the writing, please write Mr. Ballard a letter and thank him for his years of service to the town from the town board?
I will be happy to. I conveyed that personally to him, but I will absolutely do that.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
Hmm.
And thank you for suggesting that. Okay, Kate.
Okay.
Councilwoman Nowen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, the next resolution, we are going to table for the moment. The appointment of, this is the clerk for the code enforcement officer. You remember we talked about this at the workshop meeting. The person that we had in mind decided that school was going to take too much time at New Paltz, and she would not have the time to do both. So the code enforcement office is looking for an additional name. They have a couple of ideas of people, and I'll be back to you with a name sometime in the near future. So it is a part-time job for a very short number of hours, 15 hours a week maximum. So it is not something that a lot of full-time people would be looking for. So next resolution, this is authorizing expenditure. This is upon recommendation of the Historic Preservation Commission. The town board authorizes expenditure of up to $1,500 to purchase a excuse me, historic marker plaque for the National Register designated Accord Historic District from Catskill Crossings of Bloomville, New York. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I have a second.
Second.
I received this from Alice Cross. This is very similar to the marker that we have in Algerville. The actual cost is probably going to be more in the neighborhood of $1,200. The $1,500 is what they have in their budget for the year for the Historic Preservation Commission. They have spent none so far and do not anticipate spending any other place. So they have asked if their budgeted $1,500 can go toward this. And I think it's a very fitting project. They really achieved a big accomplishment in getting this done. The location is still undetermined, but I believe we're leaning toward putting it in front of the museum, right there on Main Street when people come in. That way it's on property that we have some sort of control over, not entirely, but as long as the museum remains open, we would have it on the equivalent of town property. So any questions or discussion? Roll call vote, please, Kate.
Councilwoman Nowen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen DePew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Next, I'm not going to read this whole resolution. This is for a 2020 bond renewal. You'll remember we did one a couple months ago. This is the second bond that the Highway Department is currently holding. It's asking to renew. The current balance is $180,000. We will be paying off $70,000, and the interest rate would be $4,850.90 that we will be paying with that. And we will be refinancing the $110,000 at the rate of 3.6% per annum, payable at maturity and maturing on September 3rd, 2021. So do I have that motion? We can do the motion as presented. It's for the board's information. So,
I'll do the motion as presented.
okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do I have any questions or comments on this?
This is one bond of two, you said?
Correct.
Can we
This-
label these somehow, Mike? I remember one you gave a title to, like a CR1 or CR, whatever you had done.
This one is actually, they label it, the other one was CR1, and this is labeled, I believe it's in the resolution CR3.
I'm
Let me just
sorry, I
double check.
must have missed it. I apologize.
Oh, wait, number 3R, excuse me. It's on the last
3R.
page, the bottom of page 3B in therefore,
Okay,
number 3R.
3R. That's what I was looking for
Yep.
too, and I knew there must be a number.
And the denomination will be
Thank you.
110,000. We will be paying off the 70,000. So
Right.
at the rate we're going, we'll have paid this one off pretty quickly. We're being aggressive in paying off 70,000 each year on these bonds. Any other questions? Kate, roll call vote?
Councilwoman Allen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt,
Aye.
Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye. Okay, our next motion, in deference to B's comment, I'm just going to ask the board before I go through all this, what their feeling is on this. This would be setting a public hearing to include the Natural Heritage Plan, the Natural Resources Report, which is the Open Space Plan as addendums to the comp plan. We did send these to various agencies for comment last month. We have not received them back. I was moving to schedule this for public hearing at our October 1st, 2020 meeting, which is the first Thursday of October. It probably would be held virtually. So I'm going to go ahead and make the motion. And if somebody wants a second, and then we can discuss the merits of it.
I'll second.
Okay, so discussion. And B's point is well taken, that the public can't participate. Some of the public can't. We will
Some of
accept
them
written
can.
comments or them calling in, or I will say the planning board's public hearings seem to be working fine with people either zooming in or calling in. We have not received a single complaint that somebody wasn't able to speak who wanted to. So
Planning board is a one piece of property at a time option. This
Understood.
is a greater area.
right, this is about the comp plan though. This is not about a specific piece of property.
Right. I
So
know.
yeah, I am withdrawing the other two for now on the critical environmental area
This is-
because we're not
this
done
is
on
a-
mapping, but
This is a greater document. Larger something. I don't know what the proper wordage is.
okay.
I think it's a difficult time to move forward on such important things because of that concern. If it hasn't been an issue for the planning board, I was thinking maybe we move forward, see what kind of feedback we get, but I'm not sure.
We could hold the public hearing and hold it open.
Yeah.
We could take no action even. And with a comp plan, we could hold the public hearing and take action 6 months later. My point being, we're not required to take action right away. I think these three documents that we're talking about, I mean, one is from 2008, one is from 2015, one is from 2017, I believe, maybe 18, have gone through a great bit of scrutiny. They were all reviewed very carefully. They are all three official town documents already. They're just not part of the comp plan itself.
I
I
think
don't mean to make light of the difference, but they are officially adopted town documents. They're just not part of the comp plan, which is the basis for our goals as a town.
that is correct. And that's why this is far more important
Understood.
than a single person's not that anything's more important than a single person's property. However, this affects everything now forward. And I believe that the public should have a right to speak in public.
Okay.
And that's just my take on it.
Understood.
Mike,
That being said, we're not gonna, the documents are what they are. The public hearing is not on the documents themselves and the content of the documents. They were already adopted by the town board. What is the public hearing of whether they're included in the comp plan or not? So Adam, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, Mike, I would just say, for everybody, and I know nobody wants to hear this right now, but if we keep waiting for things to get back to normal, we'll never get anything done. We have to, accept the fact that this is for a great deal the new normal. I think we need to give our constituents the benefit of the doubt that they can communicate in other ways besides standing right in front of us, whether it be by phone, by letter, by email. And again, we have the ability to hold it open. So if he's not, if several people are not happy with the way their voice comes across in one meeting, we don't have to make that decision. We can hold it open one more meeting. And like I said, I think our constituents are perfectly capable of using a telephone to call in. And I don't mean to be harsh or put anybody down, but again, if we keep waiting for things to get back to normal, we'll never get anything done.
Mary Lou, are any towns doing anything more innovative, like having a hybrid between social distance in-person meetings? And I'm just wondering if
I don't know of anyone doing that. The problem being, how do you decide who gets to come into the meeting room and who doesn't? And, if we get too many people who show up, can those other people get home and on their computer?
Mary Lou, could we as a board meet in public and allow the people in one at a time to speak and then ask them to leave?
No, because everyone has to, it's open meeting. Everybody has to be able to hear everybody.
Hear the other person's comments.
Right.
Can we use a bigger venue?
Can we broadcast it outside?
What was that, Adam and Aaron?
Can we use a bigger venue, the high school gym or the college, somewhere they can social distancing?
If they'll let us, they're closed right now, aren't they? I don't know what the college is doing.
Well, I don't think we couldn't leave the town jurisdiction to hold.
Right. Right.
And in terms of the high school gym, I believe the school in general is not going to allow us to use their facility, I would think, given all the safety precautions that they're doing with the.
Yeah, if there's a larger venue that will allow us, we can.
Space.
I don't know if this is a good solution, but I thought of a speaker and a screen out behind the youth center that people can hear, and then invite them in one by one or five at a time.
I would have to look into that. I'm not comfortable saying that's okay. It may be, but I don't even know if there's an answer out there right now.
That was my suggestion too. So it might be, because there's other, like as we're talking about, there's all sorts of stuff that's coming up that we'll want to set a public hearing for. But I also agree with the idea that I would love to be able to figure out a way that we could have people talk to us in person. As well as
our budget public hearing, which has to be held in November. We have no choice on that unless the governor changes that, which I don't think is going to happen. So.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it would hurt to at least schedule the public hearing. Let's see how things are going. You may extend it a few times till you can have people show up, or you may find that on this particular thing, some things aren't going to have any interest and some are going to have a lot of interest. So I almost think it might make sense to schedule it, and after that public hearing, play it by ear. At this point, we don't know. Even in October, we may be back in.
Right.
I will say, room. I doubt it.
We held this same public hearing in 2018, and if I remember correctly, I think we had one comment. I could go back and read the minutes from that public hearing, but I believe there was one comment. It was voted down by the board, a 3-1 vote with one member absent, but it was not something, and it was advertised and held in town hall. So
I think we should move forward on opening the public hearing.
We can always cancel it if we don't come up with an alternative. So Mary Lou, as the resolution is worded, does it need to be changed because it's saying be held via video conference?
Yeah, we, at this point, we don't have permission to hold it by video conference. Because when the governor does his executive orders, state law only allows those executive orders to run for 30 days.
Okay,
That is why every 30 days, he's been renewing them. So
so how do we
September
word it?
4th, well, September 4th is the day he would likely make his next extension, which will go till October 4th. And we're
Okay.
talking now.
The,
I
actually,
think for
if
this,
that's the case,
you
Mary Lou,
can word it either.
Mary Lou, let me just stop you for a minute. If that's the case, we're gonna have a special meeting in September to go over the RFPs. It will be after September 4th. It's when he will have moved it forward.
Right.
So we can just do the resolution then.
You can do that. And if at that point he's still saying video conference, depending when you're doing it, if he's still saying video conference, it's only going to be till October 4th.
Right.
We're looking at
We're
holding
looking at
this
October 1st.
October 1st is our first Thursday.
Correct.
Beautiful. Yeah, so wait and do it at your
So
special
we
meeting as
will-
long as you have enough time to advertise.
Right. On this is 10 days notice, Kate, because it's a comprehensive plan.
Hmm.
So, so we will, we'll table the motion then, and we will take it up at our special meeting, which when we discuss the RFP.
Mary Lou, quick question. Are we
Yes.
able, with the, like a public hearing, could we take reservations for the first amount of people that could actually show up in person, and then the remainder would be through
But
video
that would,
conference, or?
I don't know. You know, it's never been allowed before.
Right.
So it's not like there's some system out there. I can check around, see if anybody's
Mhm.
coming up with anything. But you know, it's a lot of it's all guesswork.
Right.
A lot of it is guesswork.
Okay.
I know I've thought of that myself. We can say, okay, we can fit 20 extra people in here.
Mhm.
You know, first 20 get in, the rest you can watch by video. I'm
Right.
just not sure, especially with a public hearing.
Right.
People want to hear one another.
Right.
Okay, so we will table this, and I will bring it back, and hopefully we'll have some more answers by
Yeah,
then.
and I'll research a little bit and
Mike, what's the date of the RFP meeting?
you have to set that stuff.
We have to set a date yet, but
Okay.
what I need to hear from you guys is what dates, and we don't have to set it tonight. I can call a meeting without the board setting the date. So Kate just has to advertise it. So if you guys can email me some dates of either the week of the 14th or the week of the 21st, availability.
If you're going to set these public hearings, preferably the 14th, so Kate has her 10 days to,
Yeah, I mean,
Notice.
well, yeah, because that would defeat the purpose if we go past October 4th. then
Right.
we would- So if that's the case, then we have to be sometime the week of the 14th. Because the 21st would be 10 days before. the
Right.
1st, So
right.
we would have to have the meeting sometime on the week of the 14th. So if you guys can email me some possible dates that week, and we'll set one. Moving on to discussion items. Transfer station. Aaron, I'm gonna sort of give you the lead on this.
Sure. So there's two things going on that tie into discussions we had last week. One, I am moving forward on planning out doing an audit of the transfer station. So I was able to do some research on how we should do that. It was recommended by the comptroller at the UCRA that we do both a waste audit and an internal, just sort of, it's not really a financial audit, but basically you want to see a paper trail. You want to be able to see everything that kind of comes in. You want to be able to see it documented somewhere. And then the exciting thing about the audit process is we would form a committee like we discussed, the committee would meet together, discuss what, how they're going to go about it. And we have lots of guidance from the state. And then conduct the audit, but then the committee gets together and comes up with ideas for how to address any issues they find. So say some of the numbers aren't matching up. Well, then the committee would say, I think if we put this procedure in place, that would solve this problem. So at the end of the audit, hopefully we'd have a good, if needed, an operating procedure that would really help any issues that we have. The second thing that's going on is the ongoing conflict that we have with the UCRA itself. And Mike, I can talk about this at the meeting, right? As long as I'm not talking about people.
Yeah. Do you mind if I jump in for a moment here?
Yeah.
Okay. So Aaron and I had a conversation today. As we talked about, the issue the RRA has with us is that our roll-offs have, in their opinion, too large a percentage of C&D. That has led their manager to the conclusion that one of two things is happening. Either we are accepting too large a volume because we're only supposed to take up to 2 cubic yards from any one individual, or that we are accepting commercial waste, which we are not allowed to accept at all, according to our contract. We are designed specifically for municipal solid waste, which is residential. All that being said, as Aaron and I were talking about this today, the light bulb went off. Our compactors that we have may be causing us part of this problem, because anybody who comes into our transfer station with bagged garbage is directed to throw the bags into the compactor, which is one row off, which is run until it's full, and then it's pulled out and another one is put in place. Most of our C&D that we take, whether it's coming, whoever it's coming from, is dumped into the other open roll-offs, which are either up at the top of the hill or the other one on the side, and they are filled up and just continuously filled until they're full. I have a sneaky suspicion that because all our MSW, or the majority of our MSW, is coming in bags, very few people are probably bringing MSW in open containers or cans. They're probably bringing it in bags. Is we have a situation where we have a roll-off that has nothing but MSW in it, and we have a roll-off that has nothing but C&D in it. And the RRA is telling us that it needs to be mixed in a certain percentage in order for it to be legally transported by them. So out of that discussion came maybe a bit of a crazy idea, but Aaron and I wanted to look into if we could continue using the RRA for our MSW and our recycling, which we're required to do. We're required to take it to them. We're not required to use them to carry it. And we hire a contractor to carry the C&D. It would mean renting roll-offs from a contractor. It would, because we couldn't use the RA's roll-offs. It would also mean we would have to contract with somebody to then haul it to the RRA. It may be a solution, because the RA's issue with us is volume and contents in the roll-offs. And it's our opinion that this is the normal way of the town of Rochester, in that we have 13. Okay, do you know off the top of your head, we have what, about 1,500 permits?
13.
I think we're at 1,300. That was last year's number. And when Aaron started figuring it out, tonnage per permit, we were not the biggest usage. We were actually down somewhere maybe in the top third, but we were not the highest, or even probably number 2. I think we were 3 or 4, and that was only with 10 towns had been quizzed so far. We were still researching getting the number of permits from all the other townships. And it's something that I don't think the RRA ever looked into. I just keep getting told, for your population numbers, your usage is too high. We are the number 1 user of the service in Ulster County after the city of Kingston. And they don't understand why. and I do. It's because our people, we don't have a lot of subdivisions. We don't have a lot of people that do home pickup. We have a lot of users of the transfer station. So that's my take on it. And it might be something to pursue, finding out if we can legally do that and what the cost might be. Mike,
something that I was just advised by my garbage consultant.
Yep.
A lot of contractors do not have dumping rights. So you have to be careful, therefore you pay more. They have to find a place to dump themselves, the C&D. Are you following me?
I am. I am.
Every now and then you lock up. So the point there is if we're looking for someone, we have to kind of combine the two things. You're looking for a contractor who has a place to dump, who keeps the price low.
Well, the contractor under the state law, or under flow control in Ulster County, all garbage must go to the RRA. Waste management, all those other companies, they take it to the RRA. Waste management may not. Waste management may have an exemption. But just a general contractor, like I talked to Jeff Fry about this, and he said, maybe we want to ask the guy who does our metal. He provides a roll-off for us. He comes and picks it up. He takes it back. The metal, we don't have to take to the RRA. But by same token, when we took down the old shed behind the community center, when when it was damaged and the roof collapsed this past winter, he brought us two roll-offs, one for metal and one for everything else. He picked up everything else and he took it to the RRA. Then all we're doing is we're paying. Now the difference is commercial rate at the RRA is I believe higher than the municipal rate. But perhaps one of two things. Perhaps we could, in order to solve this problem, maybe the RRA would negotiate with us on that. And the second thing is, even if they wouldn't, I don't think it's a bad idea to explore the cost of moving our C&D that way. If we are allowed to.
Who would stop us? Who has the right to stop us?
I don't know, Mary Lou, do you have any opinion on that? Could they stop us from taking from contract? There are other municipalities that
I was going to say others do. Others do. So I would think it's allowed, but
municipalities may contract for the whole everything. What I'm proposing is we still use the RRA for municipal solid waste and recycling and use their roll-offs and we hire them, but the C&D becomes our responsibility to get to them.
Right. We're just in charge of transport.
Right.
Which appears to be what their concern is. They suspect that it's not from our residents. They suspect it's stuff that's not allowed to be transported. We're saying, no, this can be transported, so we'll hire a transporter. Right. I think it's something to discuss with them and we see. I mean, we're not going to just do it, obviously.
No, I would run it by them, but I wanted to just get a feedback from the board to see what they even thought about that idea. To me, it's a compromise. Initially, we were all kind of thinking an all or nothing thing. We went with another contractor or we went with the RRA and we made significant changes. I think it's a combination of all the above now. I think we still look at correcting because I don't deny that we probably are at fault in some degree, but I don't think to the degree that we're being accused of either. We've kind of become how it is every time something goes wrong, the bad kid gets blamed. Well, I think we've become that.
Is it just the accusatory fact to try to keep us in line? Aaron,
no, I don't think so. I believe that a number of them may be valid, but I also believe that there is a lot of supposition, and that's why I brought up what I just brought up about we are the only town. There's one other town that has compactors. Other than that, though, everybody else is just throwing their bags and their C&D in the same roll-off. So of course you're going to get a mixture. I mean,
And they're making more money if it's not compacted also. The poles are more.
correct. But then again, they're probably not making more money because it's a pretty reasonable charge price. It's $105. By the time they pay for the fuel, their labor, their insurance, and all that, I highly suspect we will get a cheaper price from a commercial rate. I highly suspect that it's not a moneymaker for them.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I don't think the poll charge is a moneymaker. I think the you know it's the tonnage is you know.
I like the progress that Erin is making with the audit idea and just getting an understanding of what's happening. And I also like your idea, Mike. About
Erin, would you, because you seem to have a much different relationship, and also you have a conversation started with the new acting executive director. Maybe you could speak to them and just float out that idea and see if it's even feasible to consider, and then before we make any inroads into thinking about it.
Yeah, I think that's right. But I think the more pressing thing, I'm happy to bring that up. The more pressing thing is that the letter that they sent and wanting to take away the equipment. And I don't think this will stop them from wanting to do that, because what they want there is an assurance that they're not going to be hauling illegal in the interim. And on the
Agreed,
phone,
but the faster they give us an answer and the faster we can respond, then we can get them out of the hauling business for us. And so,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm happy to bring that up. They had asked me to bring to the board the idea, and Mike and I already talked about this, but I said that I would bring it up to the board, that we would not take C&D at all. And that's actually what got Mike and I talking on this line. And they wanted like an assurance for like this week that things would change. And Mike, actually, you had the idea that we just, until we can get things cleared up with them, that we tell them that we won't use the compactors and put everything in the same bins and see if that clears it up for them. So that was another idea that we had just for like this short period before we can actually figure things out. So that was,
I think it may prove to them, if we were to shut down the compactors for a short period of time, and anybody who came in with a bag, we had them throw it in the open roll-offs, because it's not going to be compacted. It's going to cost us a little more money in polls, but it may prove our point that when that happens, the percentages change vastly. And I think if we implement that, in addition to moving forward with getting our own contractor for C&D, to me, that would be a good faith effort, that we are acknowledging their problems or their concerns.
Their concern is the C&D, correct?
Correct.
I don't see how our town having to pay more for non-compacted garbage solves the CD problem.
So here's how it solves it, B. If the MSW in bags is now in the same roll-offs, the percentage, Charlie called Aaron and said this past weekend, they pulled a roll-off out of there that was 100% C&D. They are not allowed to be that percentage of C&D. So if we start throwing all our bagged garbage, municipal waste in the same roll-offs as the C&D, just by sheer nature of how quickly it fills up, the percentage is going to be considerably lower.
I understand the C&D is going to be considerably lower, but the pulls are going to be considerably higher, and we're padding their income and damaging our
I understand that logic, B, I do, but it's also in our contract, like that none of the bins will have more than 20% C&D. That's in our contract.
I
So-
understand.
Yeah.
So like that's the legal.
So that led me to the conclusion that the compactor is actually hurting us because no other municipality has that luxury of the compactor. So any other municipality, they get some C&D, they get some bags of garbage. They get some C&D, they get some bags of garbage, and it all just keeps getting thrown in. And Kate, if you could just note for the minutes that
did.
Councilman Hewitt
Okay.
left at 8:55. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, here's an idea. How many people are there on a given day?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, we have people there. You're telling me that they can't divide the line of traffic? The first car dumps in the compactor, second car goes around, third car dumps in the compactor, or two cars dump in the open container, one car dumps in the compactor. Why do away with your compactors?
Well,
I mean, there's a,
well, actually, B, there's a couple things that may come out of this. One is if we start calling them for a lot more pickups of this, maybe they will wake up and see the point.
No.
But
they're gonna love the revenue.
I don't think it's about the revenue. They don't have the manpower to do it. They don't have the equipment to do it. It's not the revenue. They don't have people just sitting around waiting for pickups. This is why when we call on a Friday, we can't get them picked up till Monday or Tuesday because they're servicing every town.
So while you're discussing what to do with the contract, which I like your idea of the contract from another person,
Mhm.
why don't you just stop C&D completely until we get an answer about that?
Well, that was their recommendation, but do you
Yeah.
think the residents are going to accept that?
No, I don't think they're gonna like it, but
So
It's
that's why I think the other answer is a better answer of mixing the two together.
I
Let's see
agree
what happens.
B, that is what they asked me to do.
to stop.
Yeah, taking C&D. That's what Charlie and Tim asked. That was what they said. Hey, if you guys will do this, we'll leave our equipment there.
I have to tell you, if I'd have known that, I would have never made that suggestion because I don't agree with them ever.
Well, and that's my point. If we were to follow that, I can guarantee you, B, about 10 minutes after we start that policy, my phone and probably your phone and a lot of other people's phones will be ringing off the wall.
I just think there has to be a way to fill that back bin and still use the compactor.
Well, if the back bin fills up, then we'll have no choice but to start throwing them in the compactor. But
Fill
Just
the
not any C&D.
bin first, fill the bin first and then the compactor. Just don't do totally away with the
oh
compactor.
no. But as soon as the bin's full, we'll pull it and get a new one in there. But my point is, this is going to mix it at a better
I get that.
percentage.
You want a better, I got that.
It's
Right
also
from the-
it's also a transition. It's saying we're acknowledging the problem. We're hearing you. We're trying to work with you, because the alternative is they say they're just going to flat out stop servicing us because we're violating the contract, and then we're going to end up in court and we're going to spend a lot of money paying Mary Lou to defend us.
I know,
No offense,
I know,
Mary Lou, but
I know.
Also,
No,
they-
sometimes the cheaper way is to
pay
pay more for the polls than to pay me.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
You
the
know,
truth.
good business decision.
And B, we can monitor it. If we suddenly see that, our polls have doubled, we can easily the next morning say, start putting them in the compactor. You know
You're
what I
in the
mean?
safer part of the year that they won't, I'll tell you that,
Yeah.
because it's colder.
I mean, I just today got our August bill. It was higher than our July bill,
I believe it, because
$17,000 something dollars.
more people are here, more people are living
Right.
here, and more people are using it.
Exactly.
Also, I just want to be the idea of not using the compactors is what we're just talking about it as a temporary thing. Like we would just try to do that to see if they thought that was a worthy step.
Balance.
And
That's what I'm
by-
doing. I'm balancing with my hands. And I know you can't see that, but that's what I'm doing.
And by compactors, we just mean the MSW. We're still going to use the cardboard one.
Yeah.
Aaron, is it 2 on MSW? Yeah, we have 2 compactors on MSW.
I think only one is working though, but
Okay, well, I'll find out from Harry. If maybe be the compromise is we use one and not the other one.
Well, my resident garbage person says you have one. One
Okay.
garbage,
one
one working.
functional. We have one functional one.
Okay, understood.
One compactor for garbage and one compactor for pub.
Can you
Okay.
hear him?
Yeah.
That's
I heard
my,
him.
You got one compactor that's been dead. Maybe a little bit longer, 2 months.
Okay,
okay.
okay.
I'll send you my bill.
So okay, they might not like this idea. So then,
Why don't you
what-
approach him with the idea and see what they
Yes.
say, and then you can give me a call and we can go from there.
okay,
But I'm gonna direct, today's Tuesday, so I'm gonna direct Harry, starting on Thursday, to close the compactor down. And we'll just throw all bags of garbage in the open containers. We have 2 of them. And when they fill up, he'll have to call them and tell them to come. And if they're full and we can't take C&D, we'll have to turn somebody away and say, we can always throw the bags in the compactor. We're never
Right.
gonna be so full that we can't accept the
but
garbage.
you might have to turn people with.
I have to
constructive
turn away
feedback.
people with C&D
If they're
and say,
full.
I'm sorry, we don't have any availability to take it.
Okay, I'll tell them that's our plan.
Yes.
Is that, Adam, sound like a,
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Again, we've been talking about this, and it's a real opportunity to, to work a few things out. But, I'm just forecasting. If we're talking about a contractor, you're almost talking that maybe at one point, sometime in the near future, we can do our own trucking, through the town with a, position created in the town. But
that's an expensive proposition, but
little
yeah.
down the road, I know. But
Yeah.
We did, yeah, Mike and I did float that idea, and I think we'd want to price it out, amortize it. So that's when we came up with this
I'll
other
be
idea.
honest too, it's the permit fee that will kill you more than the price of the equipment.
Yeah, but I really think that again, what percentage of polls are we going to increase by mixing it up? Is it going to be 10%, 20%, 50%? We won't know until we do it. But again, at $100 a poll, it might just be a very inexpensive way to be in the graces of our.
I will tell you, the compacted garbage, we pull probably in the neighborhood of a little under 2 polls a month. Some polls it's 1, some months it's 1, some months it's 2 polls. So it's probably about 1 2/3, maybe, I'd say, kind of thing.
Okay.
Like maybe it's 4 polls every 3 months of the compacted. The other one, the C&D, we're pulling 4 or 5 a week or more. So.
Yeah. But again, it doesn't sound like it's going to be that big of an increase, but we'll only find out once we do it.
I can talk to the town of
But it sounds
Ulster
like
too. They bought a truck and they have an employee who trucks it for them. And I
Right.
could try to find out from Jim Quigley. For them, it makes sense. They're 5 miles down the road, but I also would find out what the cost is of them I don't know if you need a permit to haul that or not.
Probably, especially if it's going to be mostly C&D if we do go to a contractor, or all C&D.
Well, the only reason I'm not sure is if you or I are a contractor and we do demolition and we put it in a roll-off, we can take it there, and I don't believe we need a permit to take it there. So I don't know.
Yeah. But again, we're on the right track, and Aaron, I really do appreciate you taking the lead. This is a big one. And like I said,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So Aaron, you'll speak with Charlie, and well, I'd say call Tim first.
Yeah, I'm gonna call them tomorrow.
Thank you.
They're expecting my call.
Okay. Short-term transit rental law, I'm going to put our changes into a Word document and circulate it to everybody for next steps. That's all I just wanted to thank you for our meeting the other night. I think we did really well with it. Mary Lou, the Article 78, should we talk in person or should we do a meeting with you after the fact?
Yeah, it can be an executive session actually, because it is pending litigation.
Okay.
Or it can be an attorney meeting if
I
that's what
think
you'd
it's gonna
like
be
to
easier
do.
in an attorney meeting because then I don't have to, well, either way, I
Come
gotta
back
reopen
in
the
and-
Zoom meeting, but I don't really know how to do an executive session and then come back in with the YouTube.
Yeah,
and
no, that's
everything.
fine. That's fine. Well, the only thing is, you would have to take action because you're gonna have to vote to allow me to defend this if you want to. And you
Okay.
can't take a vote at an attorney's meeting.
Can you talk in generalized terms in open meeting or not?
Oh, no, yeah, I'm fine. I mean, we're really just at the point where you've submitted it to insurance. They told us they'd know within 24 hours whether it would be covered. Have you heard anything back? It's been over 24 hours since
I
they
got
said
an
that.
email and I thought you were copied on it, that it was assigned a case number by Selective Insurance.
Right, and then it said, then we got another one that said, they will let us know
Oh,
within 24 hours whether
I
you're
have not
covered.
seen anything since the initial.
Oh, okay, that came yesterday. Like 1 o'clock or something.
Yeah, I was a
So-
little out of the loop yesterday.
Okay,
So
yeah, so, I mean, I assume you want to defend it, right? You guys are familiar, it's an Article 78, some
Right.
zoning board decisions. The property owner is appealing those decisions. I did speak with the attorney for the other defendants or respondents on this, some of the neighboring property owners today. She called me and I told her we were waiting to hear from insurance and waiting to hear whether insurance would hire me or if insurance says we're not covered for this, which we may not be, whether you'd want me to go forward. But I did tell her that in the event that insurance is not paying my bills, we want her to do the heavy lifting because it's really more of a benefit to the neighbors. And she understood that, but we would obviously work together because we're co-respondents. So I haven't gone over it because I don't know if it's going to be me or someone else, but I would like tonight, if you could, for you to authorize me to defend this. And then in the event that the insurance company does come through and say they want to use someone else, we can go with someone else. Or in other towns where insurance companies have said they would pay the attorney's fee, they have used me because they said it makes sense to have someone who was there through the process.
and you're familiar with the town's laws.
Right, it's going to cost them more to pay somebody else for sure.
Mary Lou, I would like to say, has defended Article 78 from our zoning board and done it exquisitely to the
Thank you.
one.
I will
We
add,
had some good ones back in the day, didn't we, B?
Yes, we did. And I really would love to have her defend our Article 78.
I would add that I truly believe the ZBA did it correctly. Of course, I'm a little biased on that, but I watched them do it. I read their decision. I think they did it correctly. I also read the
Article 78.
Article 78. And I think there was a lot of supposition in the Article 78 of how the defendant thought it, or how the complainant thought it should be, as opposed to, was a creative interpretation of the law. Let me just say that. That's my opinion. Question, Mary Lou, not being familiar with insurance covering it, how does that work? They just pay the bill, or?
It depends on the insurance company. What I've done in another town that insurance has covered several is I have billed the town's paid me, and then they've submitted it to the insurance company and the insurance company reimburses the town.
Okay.
I'm sure I could bill them directly to it. It's.
What was the feedback from the neighbor's attorney when you spoke with her today?
Pretty much just what you said, Mike.
Okay.
Just what you said. It was,
But did she give you any indication if the neighbors are planning to challenge this and retain her, or?
Oh yeah, no, that's why she called me, because they.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's been retained.
I just wasn't sure if she just called you because she had received the.
She wouldn't get a copy of that unless they gave it to her. They have to serve it's just like I wasn't served. You guys were served and you gave me a copy. So yeah,
Okay.
you don't serve the attorneys at that level.
Okay.
From here on out, everything will be served, go back and forth. I looked like B balancing. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
looking
that's
like
what
a crazy lady.
Okay. So all that being said, then I'd ask for a motion to retain Mary Lou for defense of the article of the hoops.
Article 78.
Article 78 from the ZBA, from the Zoning Board of Appeals.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. I think we've already discussed it. So if nobody has any other questions, Kate, we'll do a roll call vote.
Councilwoman Anowen,
Aye.
Councilman Hagen Depew,
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt, Councilman Paddock,
Aye.
Supervisor Baden.
Aye.
Thank
Okay.
you. I know I'll be reading tomorrow.
Board member time. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up tonight? Okay. Since Chris isn't here, Aaron, you want to do the motion? Adam, B? Somebody want to second it?
I'll second.
Okay. Just all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Quick reminder, though, get me those dates for the week of the 14th so we can get a meeting set up. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Good
you,
night,
guys.
everybody.
Good night.
Everybody
Thank
have a
you.
good Labor
Have a good
Day.
night.
Good night. Thanks, Mike.